Jumped the gun there.
I think we're live.
Yeah, we are, you know.
Southern California.
There's
I
no
think
music.
we're all thrown off.
There's no music, remember.
This is true. Maybe that's why I'm thrown off by it. You know, I guess the best way to just come out and just spill the beans and say this is Slammin Stan, number 52.
We should go back to Blog Talk Radio and...
We could always go back there, but everybody keeps saying how much better the sound quality is on Talk Show.
Yeah, but we don't have the song to, like, give us those 5 minutes of preparation.
Oh, that's true. Yes. I know, where we can sit back and just kind of drink in a tune and get all...
Yeah, as opposed to doing it the way we do it now, it's like all of a sudden it starts and we're like, oh shit, we're on already.
Yeah, I guess right now we're winging it, which sounds almost like what happened with Wrestlemania, from what everybody told me, is that the whole thing was practically winged.
Did you watch Wrestlemania, Kurt?
Absolutely not. I had so much fun bowing out of watching Wrestlemania. What I did was I was on the computer doing some writing, and every now and then I just went on the Observer site and...
saw the update.
Yeah, check the updates. And I just sat there saying, this is so cool. I saved myself $54.95 by not watching Wrestlemania.
Well, there are other ways you could have saved $54.95 and still watched WrestleMania.
That's what I've been thinking. You know, $54.95 would buy like almost 26 cups of coffee at Starbucks.
I know, seriously.
So I could buy Starbucks every day, guilt-free.
They really are past the point of no return, I think, on the prices.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, they would really have to cough up something like I am right now, really cool, for me to shell out $54 for a pay-per-view.
You don't want to watch The Rock?
I saw him in Raw already.
And then you saw him afterwards, too. So
yeah, and from what I understand, all his appearances on Raw were way cooler than what he did on WrestleMania.
I saw the Undertaker versus Triple H match. That's about it.
Now, was it as good as they hyped it?
I don't know. I skimmed through it.
I think it was up there.
That's cool. So it would be something worth checking out then.
Yeah, I'm not a big Triple H fan. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you liked, if you've liked the Undertaker matches the last couple of years, you'll like this.
Okay, yeah. Well, the important thing, much more important than WrestleMania, is I watched Raw Monday night.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, it started out really cool. I took some notes.
You took notes?
See the scene where, you saw the scene where there was all these candles lit.
Uh-huh.
And there's a blonde chick, I think it was Melina, wearing a wig. So they show photos of her at a party, like laughing with some guy, and then you see all these fuzzy images in front of what I think was the ring.
Uh-huh.
But so then they're having the party, and they go out to have, like, hot dogs at, like, a Der Wiener Schnitzel or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So this chick is looking at the hot dog and is about to take a bite out of it, and she sees one of those Cupid dolls inside of it.
Huh?
And this is where I was starting to get really confused. And you just see all this, like, weird, freaky colors, and then this hot dog starts screaming every time she bit into it.
Hot dog said, "Don't eat me."
Yeah.
It's because you were watching CSI.
Well, actually, Elena told me that I took one too many Ambien and said that I was watching an old LSD propaganda film. And so I switched the channel to the DVR I had of Raw, and this was where it got really cool and really bitchin'. I fast-forwarded through everything, except for Sin Cara.
The tag match was good, though.
What's that?
There was a good tag match.
Yeah, there was a good tag match.
That's what I heard, but I skipped through it.
See, this is why I called in early this week, because in the description it always says, tune in for all the latest news and reviews of the WWE, CMLL, AAA, and I kept thinking, I've never heard that on the show. never hear each week is, Kurt, did you see that?
Yeah,
no, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, that's the best part is I could give stars to all the WrestleMania matches based on what I've heard. It saves so much time and so much money. So Sin Cara was the one reason to watch any wrestling this last weekend.
He almost messed up his entrance.
Yeah, he almost really did a Shockmaster type entrance there.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I heard about it before I watched it.
It wasn't that bad.
No.
Oh no, but it was dangerous. All he needed to do was come off that spring thing, hit those ropes, and shoot like angry birds across the room. And that's all that we needed.
I mean, like people like us would know it, but I bet you the casual viewer would just say, "Oh, how cool he sprung into the ring," where we were all thinking, "Oh my God, just a quarter of an inch lower and all gone."
Yeah. If it was anybody else, he probably would have screwed it up.
Yeah.
I mean, Sin Cara does that all the time, so it's like he's used to it.
Well, it's because also Rey Mysterio hooked up the ropes on the ring beforehand. That's the reason why, I think.
I was wondering how he made a trampoline magically appear at ringside.
The same way that John Morrison's wind machine always appears in the last second.
No, and also the same way that when Austin came out on his ATV at WrestleMania, that the steps at ringside were magically turned on their side.
Oh, God. But still, how he avoids not killing someone in that, I don't know.
Hey, Kurt, did you watch the part where Steve Austin's getting all the beer for everybody? For all the
I skipped that.
Yeah, he gets it for Kurt, he gets beer for the whole Tough Enough cast. And Matt Cross, he's straight edge, so he's holding the beer the whole time. Like he's just like looking what to do with it. He's like trying to pass it around. That's pretty funny.
Well, at WrestleMania, Lawler was dumping his beer out off camera too.
That's right. Lawler, the quintessential non-drinker.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Crazy.
So Dan.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you about the time, since we're having stormy weather here tonight?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the time when the power went out in the spring of 1977?
No, I don't think you did. Go ahead. I'll take a nap. Go ahead.
And it was a Wednesday night. And this is important because Wednesday night was when Lucha Libre from the Olympic Auditorium would air on Channel 34, the Spanish International Network. And it was that night in 1977 when Black Gordman and Great Goliath were making their first appearance in Los Angeles in nearly 2 years.
Is Dan snoring already?
No, I'm actually going to rewatch the Undertaker Triple H match. Go ahead.
Oh, great. What I have to say is much more entertaining.
Hey, Dan, I told Kurt, you should repeat what you just told what you just told everybody on the show.
That's right. For those people listening, I entertained a room full of people with this anecdote. A little more artfully than I am now, though. But it was the coolest thing. Well, initially I didn't think it was the coolest thing because I was all hyped to watch Gordman and Goliath, and it was a really stormy day, and this loud clap of thunder, and all the power in our house was out. Gone. And, I was deep inside, I was despairing, like, oh, my God, no wrestling tonight. And, of course, I didn't let my dad see that because I think both my parents were already freaked out how into wrestling I was. And so we turned on transistor radio, and not only was the power out in Fullerton, where we lived, it was also out in Brea, La Habra, all the surrounding cities. The coolest thing, though, is my dad worked at Chevron Oil in La Habra on the corner of Beach Boulevard and Imperial Highway. For those of you who haven't heard me say several dozen times already, my dad was a nuclear magnetic physicist. And when all the power was out, he said, well, the power no doubt is out at Chevron. However, in the hills above Chevron, there's the Coyote Hills Institute. Coyote Hills Institute was this little shack with a tin roof where he and all his fellow scientists did all these like mad experiments or something like that. And when I say Coyote Hills, they were these just dirty, dirty hills in La Habra. And he said that Coyote Hills Institute had their own generator and should be totally not affected in any way by the blackout. So we hopped in the car. I got a little portable black and white TV, and we actually drove up this one-lane, windy road in the middle of a storm up to the Coyote Hills Institute. And at that point, I'm getting, scared to death because the road was paved, but I mean barely paved. It was like we were driving on the top of, a baked brownie, that big cracked surface. But underneath it was the undercooked brownie. And I thought, oh, great, we're just going to, collapse into the bottom of, the little Coyote Hill Canyon, never to be heard from again. But we made it up there. The electricity was on, so I plugged in the black and white TV, and while my dad did some of his mad science experiments, I pretended to do my homework, and there was, rain shattering down on the tin roof above me. There was thunder just, cracking around me, and Black Gordman and Great Goliath beating the crap out of their opponents in front of me. And so the evening wound up. We went home, thought we had a cute little adventure, and we woke up the next day and found out that was not a storm. What we had
was a heavenly
tornado. What was it?
Oh, what?
What?
Of Mom. Sounded.
That's right. It was a heavenly handful of Momsel's powder. That's right. That's what it was. It was actually a tornado that ripped off the roof, the entire roof of a huge food factory a few miles away from us, ripped apart a few houses, and actually levitated a few cars. And
are you saying a tornado wouldn't keep you from watching Black Gordman and the Great Goliath? Is that what you're telling us?
Who were they wrestling?
Well, what I'm telling you, Ryan, is that...
Who do they wrestle, Kurt?
I don't know, just two jobbers. They just beat the hell out of them. And they yelled at the audience, "Shut up, Mexican." And
Is this the match where Goliath chewed gum?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, that's every match. I'm sorry, I take that back. Go ahead.
No, the only other thing I remember about the show that evening was that's when they introduced the character Mr. Akhenaten.
Oh,
that's right.
That was Tanaka backwards, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so here's Tanaka with a mask on saying, "I don't understand why they hate my friend Mr. Tanaka."
His English was better.
That's right. It improved. No, this is the coolest thing is if we knew it was a tornado, we would not have been foolhardy enough to head up to the Coyote Hills. But the cool thing is I'm so glad we didn't know. Because otherwise it would have just been another blackout on another evening. But, yeah, I had a fun little yarn to spin because of it.
You won't watch WrestleMania.
I won't watch WrestleMania, of course not.
Even if Bix told you there was, free streaming video online or anything.
I might watch some of it. I'd fast forward through a lot of it.
You can't fast forward it on streaming.
I'm jumping in late here, Kurt. You obviously didn't watch WrestleMania.
I didn't say I illegally streamed anything.
No, you didn't say that. I said you could probably find that online.
Yes, exactly.
You should watch it the way that I did. There's a guy drives by at 4:00 in the morning, throws a brick through the window with a DVD attached. And that's how I watch it. I get it later that way.
So you're back in touch with Johnny Legend, huh?
Exactly that way. Well, first of all, I think Coyote Hills would be a great name for a jobber in the 70s.
Wouldn't that be great? Claiming to be from Coyote Hills, California.
No,
I never thought of it.
It would have to be someplace like, it had to be something like from Barstow, California, Coyote Hills.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That is wicked cool.
Hey, Dan, did you watch WrestleMania?
Yes, I did, actually. I didn't see it live because I had to tap out to a migraine. But from what I hear, if I had watched the Lawler Cole match, I would have had a bigger one.
Yeah.
But I did get a chance to see it later, and it was actually kind of nice because I actually kind of felt bad at first because I had expectations it was going to be a really good show. I don't think it was a bad show. I just think that it was one of those things like, every year people think the Super Bowl is going to be great. And in many cases, it's just kind of a game. And I thought that Triple H and Undertaker was fine. I thought it was a good match. It was the best match. It wasn't as good as the past 2 years of Undertaker matches because that was Shawn Michaels. But I thought that was good. I thought Del Rio and Edge was good.
What'd you make of that ending, Dan?
I had a feeling that if they were going to, I could see Vince sitting there going, "God damn it, they know everybody's talking about they know the answers. I'm going to change one of them." That was going to be the one they were going to change.
What a Vince invitation. That's great.
I love it. That is great.
But, that's it. Because, first of all, you hear all those stories about him all the time. I saw this Pirates of the Caribbean movie. God damn, that sounds good.
I wonder if they'd be interested in John Cena playing Jack Sparrow next in the sequel.
Well, they already done that, and they did, and it went so well, it drove the guy out of the business. With Burchill, yeah. But no, I thought the show was fine. I don't mind all the sketches, though I do think if I was paying $65 for it in high def, I might be a little PO'd about some of that stuff.
That's why I feel so good right now.
Yeah, so but it's interesting because with that stuff that came down today about the WWE is just about drained all the wrestling out of there. And that's why when people get mad sometimes, like I listen to some people, and like I listen to the Les Thatcher show that he does over the weekend, and I like Les, and I think Les is very interesting. But I think that one thing that he's forgotten, a lot of people forgot, is that you can't really call WWE wrestling anymore, and you can't really hold it to the rules of a wrestling group. Because they don't want to be a wrestling group. They don't want. It's so funny watching Tough Enough when they're talking about, respect this business, be proud of this business, whereas the parent group basically goes out of its way to act like the business doesn't even exist. And the people they want to bring into the business in most cases are people that have had nothing to do with it before.
Yeah.
So in a way, I feel like, well, you can shout till you're blue in the face. But, this is what the WWE wants to be. They don't want to be a wrestling business. I think as I was talking to somebody about it before, it stems back in a way that, it's that, and here's junior psychologist on Vince again, is that, he grew up and then he wound up making his money, and he moves into Greenwich, Connecticut, and all his neighbors make fun of it. It's the wrestling guy. Oh, it's the wrestling guy. And he's like, God damn it, I'll teach all of them. And then he basically goes out of his way.
He's a frustrated Renaissance man.
Yeah, but he wants to do. That's why it's like he's like, and I've had bosses like him where what they do is it's like, you can't tell me what to do. I don't care if somebody gets killed or not. I'm going to do it this way, damn it. And that's the way they do it.
And now, what we need to do, Dan, is one of these weeks we have to have an episode narrated by you doing Vince and me doing Judo Gene LaBelle. It'll be like a round table discussion. Everybody will be allotted a role.
Can I be Victor Rivera?
Yes. Oh, yes. That's a must.
Well, we'll crank call Vince.
Well, wait.
And then we can call him up and they'll sit there and he'll go, God damn it, who is this? God damn it, who are you? And we'll just do that for a half hour.
It'd be like the 2-bar tapes.
Yeah. Because I could just see him sitting there, and someone brings him lunch. He goes, God damn it, that sandwich was a pistol. I love
that. Oh, Lord.
Those 2-bar tapes are great.
Those are hysterical. If anybody out there has not heard the 2-bar tapes featuring Red, they're classic.
Sally Kramer.
Sally Kramer.
That's my absolute favorite part. What is it that he thought was Sally Kramer?
What was the name they were using? But it was
Was it Bend Over? Was it?
No, but it was something so far off that they start cracking up when he says Sally Kramer.
Okay, wait, let me see if I can.
It was Standy Payne. And then he goes, Sally Kramer? And the guy's trying not to laugh, and he goes, are you trying to kid me now? Now, I wonder, I don't know if Fredo's ever heard the 2-bar tapes.
I've never heard of. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Now, Ryan, have you heard the 2-bar tapes?
I'm kind of with Fredo on this one.
I usually, Ryan, this is the point where I tune it out.
Apparently.
Ryan, I don't know if you know this, but your brother loved the 2-bar tapes almost as much as he loved wrestling.
He never mentioned it to me. I wish he did.
Oh my God! Okay, Ryan, I know I know what I gotta send Ryan. I know what I gotta send Fredo.
Well, I'm sure you can find them on YouTube. I would think. I mean,
yeah, you probably could. Yeah.
My brother's probably going, "Boy, Ryan, you're an idiot."
Fredo, what you do is you tell Kurt that you'll listen to the 2-bar tapes if he watches WrestleMania.
Oh, there's a Wikipedia entry of 2-bar prank calls.
But that wouldn't be fair, Dan, because I'll actually listen to him, and Kurt won't watch.
Oh, this is older than I realized. It's from the
It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
In fact, when they released it, the bartender Red had already passed on, and when it got a cult following, his next of kin actually threatened to sue them unless they got a cut of the royalties. And apparently, the people who released it had no problem with that, so the legend of Red lives on.
Yeah, I just realized, and then I see it in the Wikipedia entry that Bart's prank calls on The Simpsons were based on this.
Yes.
I was going to say that. I always had a feeling that Mo was a little bit based on Red.
And in fact, a lot of people called the creators of The Simpsons on that, and they all claim, "Oh, we knew nothing about it," and you're like, "Yeah, right."
Well, this says that Mo was based on Red Deutsch.
Oh, it does, really? Interesting.
He was a heavyweight boxer, apparently.
He was a boxer. In fact, if you cruise around the internet, you can find a picture of him with Rocky Marciano in his younger days.
There is an official version too that you can get on iTunes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
An official version, probably a way for the crank callers to make a little extra dough or something like that. So where were we now?
Holy crap.
I don't know. I asked Dan about WrestleMania, and then we said
somehow Vince turned into Red.
That's what it was. Well, I did not.
Like Kramer.
I'm sorry. He's going to puke. And I'll go. And I'm sorry for going back to wrestling. I didn't mean to. Oh, by the way, Ryan, who's calling in this week? Sandor Zabo, Dr. Benjamin Roller. Who do we have this week lined up?
I have to say, Ryan, thank you. Thank you.
I honestly could not have done it without Fredo and without Dan because I thought, hey, it's your birthday, of course I gave Gene all the wrong information. I gave him your wrong age, the wrong date.
Let me guess, you did it on purpose too.
No, I had very good intentions. It just didn't pan out exactly right. But just glad he didn't. He was with it enough to sort of change in mid direction there.
I totally thought it was first I thought it was somebody else, and I thought it was somebody playing a prank pretending to be Gene LaBelle, and I thought, yeah, like he's going to call our show. Yeah, right. And then when he said the line, "I used to sell boletos," I went, holy shit. I've heard Gene LaBelle say that before, and I went, it's him.
He's on really long, too, so...
No, I just did the initial setup. Fredo and Dan completely jumped in and helped get this whole thing going with I had a long conversation with both of them, and we just wanted to give you the thumbs up for your birthday.
It was such an awesome birthday gift, and I thank all you cats. Totally.
Right on.
I had so much fun. I remember waking up the next morning initially thinking, did that really happen? I mean, it seemed like one of those really surreal dreams.
Well, I hate to tell you, but ain't going to be anybody calling up unless it's some just, random person this week. So
Maybe we'll get Captain Lenny next time.
That was fun, though.
Yeah, it was a great show. You know, it's interesting because Gene is very old school, and he's pushing 80, if I'm correct, and he's pushing a lot better than I will. I'll tell you that.
Oh, definitely.
And the thing is that he still, basically, there's some things he'll talk about, some things he won't. And it was very interesting because, you know, you throw things out and there's certain things he just, you know, you got the impression the way he did it politely and nicely, but it's like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Right. So, you know, even, you know, I thought, like I said, with the Ed Strangler Lewis thing, I thought, well, maybe I'll catch him by surprise. Maybe, because sometimes, you know, you look for that little connect where all of a sudden they go, oh, you know, oh my God, you know, I had no idea that, you know, that you knew about that or whatever. And,
I didn't know it went so far back that he trained with Strangler Lewis.
Yeah, he was a young kid. And I mean, again, to me, you know, how many people do we have left around that we could actually talk to that knew Strangler Lewis?
Exactly. That was a big shocker to me. I didn't know there was any connection between the two.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask him if he ever tried out that headlock machine that Lewis always had. You know, it was the thing where you would go up and it was something posted on a piece of wood where you would practice squeezing headlocks on it.
Oh, I never heard about that.
He had this headlock machine thing.
Well, the great thing is,
I forget what the point of it was, though. I forget exactly what it did. Like, was it?
I think it was supposed
to put a strong enough headlock on to.
I think back then, you know, the headlock, pretty much like a leg lock, was bread and butter to these guys. And if you could clamp it on hard enough, you know, and I just figured it was basically to practice, I guess, to get the muscles in the arm and to make sure you have the connection right, though. But if you ever have had a headlock put on you by an old school pro wrestler, you're lucky not to black out. I mean, I had Ox Baker put me in a headlock one time, and I damn near passed out.
Wow.
Yeah, and remember, for a very brief time before MMA became as sophisticated as it is now, Mark Coleman actually used that to finish off his opponents. A basic headlock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember Dr. Jerry Graham told me, never use a headlock in a shoot. It's the biggest mark move, because I guess when he trained at Jim Lundus's Madison Square Garden in Arizona.
Yeah.
He said there'd always be some tough guy about once a month or so would come in and want to challenge one of the wrestlers. And apparently Lundus would tell whoever the wrestler was, says, okay, let him put a headlock on you. I guarantee he'll put a headlock on you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd say every time without fault they would suplex the guy as soon as he put the headlock on, right on the guy's head, and they'd see stars and, you know.
And then last year someone won a UFC fight with a regular side headlock.
Yeah. Because I mean,
recently, huh?
The thing that's amazing about the headlock, and like I said, to go back to the Ox Baker thing a second, it was you know, Ox Baker's crazy. All right, he's absolutely freaking nuts. And we were standing there with a bunch of guys, and I said to Danny Wolf, I said, would you take a picture of me with Ox? And Ox puts his arm on my shoulder or whatever, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he whips me into a headlock. He says, take this guy's picture, come on, take the guy's picture. My glasses go flying, and he's squeezing, and Danny Wolf starts laughing. And it's like, take the damn picture.
Danny Wolf laughs at everything.
At everything, right? And I'm starting to see, you know, like Lucky Charms, you know, yellows, you know, all these things, and they're just like passing by. And finally he let go, and I literally almost passed out, and that was only about 5 to 10 seconds. But I never want anyone to squeeze my head that hard ever again. And I could imagine that if you, you know, like, and I think you're right what the doc said about the headlock. But I think that most of the guys, whenever they go after fans, and one thing that I always was taught to do as a referee was the thing that stops the rampaging fan is if you slap on a front face lock, and if you can then lay him down with you on top of him and get down onto the mat, he can't get away in most cases. You know, you can hold him until 2 or 3 guys come out and drag him out back and beat the shit out of him. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, very true.
In WCW, the famous story where a fan runs in and, you know, little Mark Curtis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Puts the front face lock on him, holds him down and security takes him away.
Yeah.
And he gave him the nickname the Shooter. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the one also where Bobby Heenan then started saying, that idiot just got beat by a 120-pound referee or something like that.
That's great. Well, they actually used the headlock in an old Lucha Libre movie called La Ultima Lucha, where Wolf Ruvinsky uses the headlock as a finishing move, and it was so cool they would actually gig behind the ears. And apparently when that movie was out, it became popular, and I guess he actually used it as a finishing hold in the actual matches. I think it was like 1957, something like that.
Why would that be cool to gig behind the ears? I'm feeling behind my ears now. I don't think that would be that would be pretty painful.
But the look of it, could you see somebody clamp on a headlock and just see blood gushing down the guy's neck? That would be bitchin'.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I'd gig there. Because hopefully my hair's going to be long enough again. Nobody will see.
That's the thing. Nobody will see. You'll gig and nobody will see. That's the problem.
No, they won't see the scars. They'll see the blood. They just won't see the scars.
Yeah. Now, with the guys going back to WrestleMania again, just real quick, because there's a note that I made that I wanted to bring up. I guess your guys' opinion on it. Who among us here, outside of myself, has seen WrestleMania?
I've seen it, Ryan.
Okay. Do you know? I was thinking about the Undertaker Triple H match, and I thought it was the best match on the show, and I thought it worked, but I thought it worked for all non-wrestling reasons. And that is, you had the guys, putting each other in 25 finishing holds and each other's finishing holds, and they all find a way to kick out or whatever. But I thought the match had really kind of nothing to do with any kind of making sense or being real or whatever. It was basically a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it had, and to me, this is kind of like the way the WWE is going. And that is, they always claim all the time, we're like, we're TV shows, we're like, whatever. And it had this whole idea of these two guys who supposedly had never met before, getting in the ring. They're both old gunslinger outlaws who have been around for a long time. There's nobody left for the one to beat them, the other one. And the one guy just would not die, and just kept coming back and back and back. And at the end, he somehow survives, beats the other guy, and the other guy has a begrudging respect for them, but says there'll be another time real soon. And that's what it felt to me. It owed more to like old cowboy films than it did professional wrestling. But in this situation, maybe because it was Undertaker and Triple H, it worked.
I agree with you on everything that you're saying, and I'll even take it one step further than that. Is that I think obviously the match had pretty big shoes to fill, and and you couldn't do it with Triple H and Undertaker, especially they're both a year older, and and it's not Shawn Michaels. So if you noticed, they were going with some pretty aggressive spots, even right in the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean, from
when
the
I saw
beginning.
them going like that, I thought, okay, they're going to do a shorter match where they go balls out for like 10, 15 minutes.
But Bix, I kind of thought that too, but they sort of made up for it in a sense that if you notice, if you were to go back and watch it, you would notice there's a lot of downtime also. I mean, they really
the pacing was
there was
the
a lot of
pacing was
downtime.
completely different. The pacing was completely different from most. And I think that way, if you were someone who's been around the business and you were watching matches, and like you said, I did the same thing. I thought, well, this isn't going to go long. Either one of these guys can go long. But it was obvious that the way they were constructing it was entirely different,
right?
Than from what they would normally do. And it was interesting from that standpoint. But I think that they're like the only two guys that could possibly get away with that and make it work.
Well, I bet you, at least to the hardcore fans, I bet you deep inside the whole time was thinking something like, does the son-in-law put himself over tonight?
Well, here's the thing. I thought that there was part of the match that actually enhanced it because because the best false finish of the match was Triple H giving Undertaker the tombstone and doing the Undertaker pin.
Yeah.
Because if when I said that, I say that without cynicism. I really did wonder. The crowd, you could tell they have this, oh shit, reaction when he kicked out, and thinking that, oh my God, the boss's son-in-law has the chutzpah to go over Undertaker at WrestleMania with his own finisher.
Yeah.
Actually added to the match.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're absolutely right, because we all know that everybody keeps saying, well, it's going to be 19-0, he's going to go to 20 and whatever. But there's still that little party. If you've watched these guys long enough, you say, with the backstage politics and everything, there is a really good chance. Taker could even be at the point saying, look, do it. I don't care anymore. I just don't bring me back in 3 weeks again. That's all. I need 6 months to heal.
And I think something both Dave and Brian said on their show is, what a difference 1 year could make. Who knows who's going to be hurting in 1 year? Who knows who's going to get injured? I mean, this is a business where people are on the injury shelf all the time, so they could have another Triple H Undertaker match planned out.
Undertaker is on the shelf all the time.
And of course, what does WWE do? They prepare a Rock versus John Cena match.
That's going to be really interesting. I'm actually interested to see if
Cena's arms are going to fall apart by that point.
Well, I'm really interested, like a lot of people have said, to see if, because the first thing I thought when I heard them say it is that, well, that's a ballsy move, to do. But, it depends. I'll be very interested to see how they execute it, because if they can, I say more power to them. That's great that they could do it. But there's 11 pay-per-views till next WrestleMania. That's a long way to go.
Well, I think something we have to think about is, since WWE has acquired Mystico and is now giving the push as Sin Cara, that I think there stands to be a pretty decent chance that they might also try to acquire Kemonito and have him feud with Hornswoggle, probably for next WrestleMania.
I got a feeling Hornswoggle's hearing the tick, tick, tick in his head. I don't know how much more stuff they have to do with him. But I liked what Steve Sims said. His theory was, when asked where does he see Sin Cara in a year, and he said at WrestleMania, he thought that Cara and Ray would be the World Tag Team Champions, and they would be doing the old classic teacher and student routine, and they would drop the belts there at WrestleMania when Ray turned on Sin Cara.
I had not thought of that, but I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would rock.
He has to turn on him within a year, so.
Yeah, well, this is wrestling, and nowadays everybody turns on each other with it.
Yeah, but they might not be able to wait for a year. They might actually do it like a month later.
Yeah, Vince is not big on having patience. That's why this whole Rock Cena thing surprises me.
God damn it! What do you know about what I think?
I'm Vince McMahon.
Unbelievable. Oh Lord. But Kemonito and Hornswoggle would be bitchin'. I would pay $54 for that.
So what, you're going to watch him run around in a circle and hit Hornswoggle over the head with a skillet? Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. It would be so cool. Mary Lou would love it.
Kemonito's perfectly fine in CMLL feuding with a parrot.
And besides, Kemonito is related to a tag team partner I had 3 years ago, Chemotherapy. And he came through for me.
Kurt, what's the last WrestleMania you watched? Seriously.
The one before this.
Yeah, we watched last year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We did. No, it was the year before. It was the year before, though.
Yeah, the first Undertaker and Shawn Michaels match we watched.
That's right. We watched it together. That's right.
Yeah, we were on Sophie and Ben's that time.
That was fun.
So that's the last time you watched the WrestleMania?
No, I watched this because I did watch the second Undertaker Shawn Michaels match.
How dare you forget,
Rock.
Dan?
Okay.
Shame on you, Dan, for forgetting that we saw it all together.
It's like I said. I'm sorry. I really apologize.
Memories we leave
I apologize for bringing up wrestling on this show. I really do. I don't mean to.
Now I have a question for Kurt.
Yes.
Kurt, does having John Cena versus The Rock at next year's WrestleMania make you even remotely, slightly interested and or excited about next year's WrestleMania?
Yes, and I do have to say this, even though I think the whole way they've been pushing this Rock Cena thing I think has been a huge disaster in so many ways. I mean, it's great.
I think, Kurt, I think they're missing the point. I mean, you're interested, but it's not interesting enough to pay $54. You know what I mean?
No, I think what I propose is we have a Wrestlemania party, so we all chip in and we only pay $7 a piece or something.
Or we can go out to Yankee Doodles and watch it out there. You get it $10 a piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, but I do have to say, Cena doesn't bug me like I know he bugs a lot of people. I mean, he's not a great technical worker or anything like that, but he gets over. He brings in merchandise. And like I said, the older I get, the more I think, the whole point is to get over and bring in revenue and get the fans, jolly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Kurt, but there's one area I do disagree. I think that the writers are doing a great disservice to him for the long haul, and that is, it sounds cliche, and I know a lot of people have already said this, and it's nothing new I'm coming up with here. But on Monday night, he just lost the night before at the biggest show in the world and got screwed out of his title chance, which meant so much to him. And he's hanging on the ropes laughing and joking about it the next night. And my feeling is if he's like, I don't care about it, then how can average fans feel like it's important for him to care about it?
That is a good point. And the thing I have to say with that is I don't find myself getting angry these days at any performer because everything they do is written for them.
Well,
I don't get mad at Michael Cole. They're telling him to do all this shit.
Well, no, he writes his own promos. I think it was Orton or someone said it recently that he writes his own
Really?
He writes his own promos.
Okay, I take it back then.
Yeah, I was going to say that he I think he's good in the ring, but I always thought he was a guy with, same thing everyone said, good, horrible content, good delivery, but now that I found out that those are his promos, ugh.
Well, like if you got one of if you resurrected Playboy Buddy Rose or Rafe Stevens and put them in the ring, they would be so lost because they were masters of feeling the crowd, winging it, and masters of improvisation. I mean, that's what wrestling was in many ways. But now every little nuance, every word spoken is dictated to you.
Because Vince is more interested in facials than in what's actually coming out of their mouths. He's more interested in their facials and are you making the expressions than what's actually said anymore.
When we were growing up, facials were
God damn it, look hurt a different way.
Sorry, Vince.
Oh, Lord. Well, I mean, facials were important when we were growing up and stuff, but the thing is the wrestlers knew when to do it. Like when I was talking about Gordman and Goliath, I loved they knew when to
that's the thing. That's the thing is, like I said, it doesn't make me mad. I don't care because you're always going to have smart fans or whatever going to overanalyze. I mean, we used to see that even back in the early 90s, Kurt, where, they would basically, somebody would get a New Japan tape or whatever, or an All Japan tape. And they would sit there and go, and you see, Misawa twitched at that moment. Did you know what that means? And they would overanalyze it. But I think that what's happening with this is that Cena wants to be the nice guy, wants to be everybody's buddy, that whole thing. And I think he doesn't realize, like a lot of guys don't realize, that there's a certain intensity you need to turn on at certain times. And when you do that, it in turn. When I look at it, like I said, it doesn't make me mad. When I look at it, I go, John, you're not doing yourself any favors here. You're not doing yourself any favors here. You should be pissed tonight. You should really, really be pissed tonight. There are plenty of nights where you can come in and laugh and do all that other stuff. Because you want to have that variety, anyway. But we'll go back to invoking guys like Blassie and John Tolis. Could you see Blassie losing to Tolis and getting in the ring the next night and joking about it with him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, the Bionic Wrestler's starting to make more sense. And
and also somebody else brought up this point. It's true. On Monday night, Rock looked like he was pissed at him.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did look like he was pissed at him,
Which is funny, like, at WrestleMania, Rock was the one who, controlled the match. you know, he's the one who gave everybody, dished out the justice, and the next night he's the one who's angry and Cena's the one who's happy.
You didn't see it. What do you know?
Well, I've heard people talk so much about it in the last...
That's what how many different podcasts have covered WrestleMania? I mean...
Oh, of course.
I figure 4 weekdays online.
Well, what they need to do is they need to have Rock sometime over the summer come out to Yankee Doodles in Simi Valley for an MPW show, and basically keep it going that way. I will pay money to hear Rock go, finally, The Rock has returned to Yankee Doodles.
You sounded even a little like Vince when you said that too.
Well, I know exactly. You know, it's hard to go. Well, Rock has that cadence in his voice also. I think Rock has listened to Vince a lot over the years.
It's Dan's impersonation.
Put the feather in his attic with macaroni. God damn it!
What was that, Fredo?
That was Dan's impersonation of Vince doing The Rock.
Stephanie, you want to see an impression? Watch this. I'll stump a mod hole in you and walk it dry. What do you think of that, huh? There we go. That means Vince will go on the road as an impressionist doing impressions of wrestlers. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, when WWE falls and he'll do a road show.
It ain't going to fall. That ain't going to fall. That thing is like a cockroach. It's going to live forever.
Yeah.
The ship could sink. He's like the ancient mariner. It will go on forever.
Now, if you want to, let's talk about for a second. I'm sorry, Fredo. We're going to go a little old school.
I really want to see that impression show, though. You got me picturing all the potential of that in my head now, though. Like,
yeah, can you see that? You know,
damn it!
That's my time. Thank you.
Give me your head.
But I do want to mention, you know, especially for Los Angeles guys, Sir Oliver Humperdink has passed away since we last have talked, and that was a guy who I don't think he gets his due sometimes, because, you know, most fans remember him, if they do remember, and they remember him, you know, wearing a tuxedo as Bam Bam Bigelow's manager, or some of that stuff he would do down in Florida. But we first saw him out here when he was basically, you know, playing, you know, Sir Oliver Humperdink, was a very British, with little tweed jackets and bowler hats and things like that. And he was an amazing. I mean, at one point out here, it was a very brief period, but we had J.C. Dykes and Oliver Humperdink in the same territory.
And it was very shortly after Louis Tillet brings in Gordman and Goliath as baby faces.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the last great period. I thought that was the last really great period of LA wrestling.
Yeah, and they talked about it, and I was glad that Dave mentioned this in the Observer obituary about the infamous angle they did where Louis Tillet supposedly put out Humperdink's eye. And there were pictures of it, and I still have pictures of it. I mean, it was a pretty gory thing, especially for a babyface to do, and that is Humperdink. He'd come at him with like a pencil or a plastic knife or whatever, and Tillet turned it around, and there's these shots of the Hollywood Blondes crying in the middle of the ring, holding up Humperdink, and his whole eye is just covered in blood.
I remember that. Is that where Funk and Lawler got the idea then?
I think so. I think they did, because that was a little bit after that.
Because this was done right around the time when they were when Humperdink was also managing Gene LaBelle's friend Choi's son.
Yes.
Who was supposed to have, like, you know, this, you know, mystic martial art, kind of like a Count Dante, could destroy anybody with his moves.
Yeah, and Greg Valentine also.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And what I remember is how they didn't do that babyface turn right away. They really teased it week after week.
Oh, they did.
And they even had you thinking he wasn't going to turn after all. I really thought that was the last really great LA angle. I don't know if that was...
well, it also rolled into other things, which was nice. Again, it's like, you know, when you look at booking, and I think that was probably still Leo Garibaldi at that time.
Probably.
And the way was with Humperdink was actually gone for a couple of weeks after that. You did not see him at all. And they used that as an angle because Greg Valentine had earned a shot at Jack Briscoe for the NWA title. And he lost the championship. He lost the match, of course. But what they did was when Humperdink then came back with the eye patch, one of the things they dealt with, he says, well, Valentine would never have lost that match if I was here. I would have told him not to take it and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, there were ways to make that stuff work. Where again, we were talking about the 1 year build. I mean, obviously Rock's going to go away for a while. But it doesn't, I see him popping up every once in a while, like whack-a-mole, just to kind of interfere, and then probably around the end of the year, beginning of the year, next year, that's when he'll start being there on a regular basis. But I like the idea of this hanging like the sword of Damocles over their heads.
Mm-hmm, yes. So that would be cool if they don't change their minds too many times. If they really plan it out. If they did like Vince, the original Vince McMahon, and really plan something out a year ahead of time.
Yeah, because there's a really great, just to finish up touching on Humperdink, because I really do think he was one of the best.
Oh, he was awesome.
There's a DVD that's floating around out there that I have, and I don't know if it's still in print anymore, which was called The Art of Managing, and it was Humperdink and Gary Hart.
Yeah, Mark
talking about. Yeah, that's a
payoff.
Yeah, that's a. Besides that, it's a great DVD. But I mean, it's very interesting to listen to these guys talk about because since there are no managers anymore, in most cases, that's an entire art that's gone.
I'll never forget. It was like one of the first month that the Blondes and Humperdink were here in L.A. And they just had a match where they go over, and our own Gene LaBelle goes in to interview him, and the Hollywood Blondes and Humperdink were going to take part in some parade in Pasadena the next week, and so they just make this. Humperdink makes this big announcement saying, we're going to be taking part in the parade, and the reason we want you to know, Gene LaBelle, is because you're not invited. I want to know why you're not invited? And Gene LaBelle just shakes his head and he says, because we don't like you. And I just love it, just cutting a promo on the local nice TV announcer just to get people's ire. And
then Gene LaBelle turned to the camera.
Just anybody could have done without it coming off as campy.
And then Gene LaBelle turned to the camera and went,
wow! Hollywood Blondes, nobody really mentions them as a great tag team.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry Brown and Buddy Roberts were fantastic. Yeah. They were very good.
For mine, Fredo's generation, there's nothing of them on tape. So
there's very little.
I'll never forget
one or two, the clipped up stuff from Florida, like just a couple matches maybe, but that's about it.
Well, Fredo, don't you have some Japan stuff with them?
Yeah.
Wait, you do?
Yeah, they did. They worked. I think I can't remember which promotion.
Oh, IWE maybe.
Yeah, there's a few shows with them on there.
Fredo always sounds so happy when we bring up he has the tapes. I keep waiting for Ixnay on the tape say, huh? Not so loud.
I never bring it up.
Everybody calls
like,
Fredo.
You should promote your site and stuff, and I never bring it up.
I was actually thinking of earlier, I was going to say, when you were talking about the $54.95 for Wrestlemania, I was thinking of saying, how many DVDs could I buy at SlamMJam.com?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember actually when the Blondes were on their way out, because Humperdink stayed for a while without them. But what they did was, I never saw this match, but God, I would have given anything for it, because the Infernos had just come in. Is they actually did the heel versus heel. They did the Blondes versus the Infernos at the Olympic, and the Infernos won.
Yes.
And that was their last
the Infernos were in, and then they were thoroughly heel, and that's when Gordman and Goliath came as baby faces. Really good baby faces too.
And I've got to say, speaking of all these tag teams, and I know we talked about Gordman and Goliath earlier, but all the teams really did pale in comparison to Gordman and Goliath. They were really the measuring stick of tag teams in the history of Southern California, in my opinion.
I think the only guys that were close to them were their longtime opponents, Kinji Shibuya and Mr. Saito. Again, they weren't in the same league, but still, they were. Gordman and Goliath could basically do anything, and I'm so glad there are some matches of those guys still existing, because they really were. It's just I'm sure there's maybe one or two teams that are better than them, but I can't think of anybody else.
Same here. They were just masters of whether they were heel or face. They were just masters of it. I mean, they knew how to. That was the first time I was at a live card where they were a tag team was the first time I ever saw just garbage getting thrown into the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And they were, I remember it so vividly. They were wrestling Pantera Negra and Tony Rocco. And, your rational mind says, yeah, Gordman and Goliath are going over. But when the baby faces made the comeback, Gordman and Goliath sold so beautifully for them.
Oh, yeah.
And just had the look of the schoolyard bully who was getting their justice, looking like they were about to break out crying, that everybody was excited. You really thought the underdogs were going to pull it off. And when Gordman and Goliath, end up winning, man, I'd never seen so much garbage thrown in the ring.
Oh, I know.
They were amazing, and they were the only team that I saw. I saw this, from footage and magazines. I saw Abdullah the Butcher doing this, and the Sheik, and maybe even Firpo, but they were genius at hiding the weapons, hiding the pencil. They would turn and they would put the pencil in their mouth, or things like that. They were just great at doing that.
Yeah, the way they would hand it over to each other. It's not just like they handed it on their own person. They would trade the foreign objects with each other in the mouth, in the trunks, everywhere.
Yeah, and it seemed like Goliath always seemed to have the pencil, and Gordman always seemed to have the popsicle stick.
Yeah,
that's right. That's true.
With the white tape wrapped around it. Yeah,
that is so true.
There's a Memphis match where Bill Dundee, as a baby face, tosses a chain back and forth with a fan in the front row.
Oh my God, that's great. That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Well, the popsicle stick would have put that chain to shame, I'll tell you.
One of the most fascinating things I think about the team of Gordman and Goliath is how they just work so well together. And I can't remember who we first heard this from, but people would ask Goliath, here in the Southern California area, like, years after the team split up, they said, "Hey, are you in touch with Black Gordman?" And he says, "No, why would I be?" And apparently they had absolutely no contact outside of wrestling. They were, I guess they couldn't be more different. I guess, Gordman was like the life of the party, loved to go out and have a good time, and Goliath was a guy who watched his money and, kind of liked to just kind of go home after the matches.
And spend it all in caps.
What's that?
Yeah, that's right.
Spend it all in caps.
With the little beanie, with the little beanie, the little ball on top of the
caps. You wore all the time.
I have a great story that I think I've told Kurt this before. I'm not sure, Dan, or Fredo or Bix, if you guys have heard this. I know Bix hasn't. I haven't told him this, but I remember going one day. It was like maybe around noon in San Bernardino, and I stopped at a hamburger place. Just got some grub. And I turned, and who was sitting there but the Great Goliath and Carlos Mata having lunch.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
And I was so starstruck. And this was back in maybe 91 or 92, I'm guessing. Probably around 90. And I was so blown away, so I had to, of course, interrupt their lunch. And and so I'm just talking to them, like, first the little kid in me comes out and starts thinking, wow, they were always fighting each other. Now they're sitting here together eating. I was like, I remember when Gordman and Goliath would feud with the Matas, and now they're having lunch. And they were both dressed up in painting clothing, like they had been painting something. Well, Goliath tells me they were in the middle of painting the San Bernardino arena.
No way!
Yeah,
that is too cool.
They were painting it, and so we start talking, and they were just the nicest guys. I mean, really cool guys.
Did he pull out a popsicle stick on you?
He didn't. He didn't go after you with a pencil or anything.
Yeah.
But he was just a really, really nice guy, and
very soft-spoken.
Both were very cool
guys.
Very
very soft-spoken.
Yeah, Goliath was, he was respected by everybody here in the Southland. One of the few things that really bugged me about Blassie's book is Blassie kind of trashed Gordman and Goliath, saying they were didn't show up for the shows on time, were out cat dancing when they should have been working, which...
Were you there? You didn't even watch WrestleMania. How do you know this isn't true?
Well, judging from everybody I know who worked with Goliath, that's just not true. I mean,
Gordman maybe.
Yeah, Gordman maybe. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they were going out. But I mean, I never heard of them in no-showing matches. I never heard about them just like strolling in late.
Well, at least Goliath wouldn't.
Yeah,
up
this
late.
is true.
Everybody does that.
But
they all show up late.
But Goliath and one of the best teachers here in the Southland too. I mean, he cranked out.
And Goliath wrestled well into like the mid '90s, didn't he, Kurt? I mean, we saw him on local shows here.
One of his last matches, I think his next to his last match was against Alex Knight, and that was the night that the No Mercy Man debuted.
That's right.
In Cudahy. And I'll never forget because Goliath was also in a main event a few years earlier when Eric Anderson made his first appearance. On each of those shows, Eric and Larry, respectively, went up to Goliath and said, saying something like, "Man, I'm so jazzed that my first match is on a show that Goliath is on." And they say, "I used to watch you when I was a kid," and Goliath just broke out into a smile and rolls his eyes. "Oh, I feel so old. When I was a kid, I saw you."
Well, do you remember that match we saw in the bullfighting arena, not that far away from where you live, Kurt?
Oh, Pico Rivera.
Pico Rivera.
Los Migra.
It was Goliath and Los Migra. What a great six-man match that was.
Mil Mascaras, Conan, and Super Astro. And we actually got to see both Mascaras and Goliath, just really work in there. It was really great to see.
No, guys,
at least one of them worked. Yeah.
Now I have a question. It involves Black Gordman. Kind of a lame question, but I'll ask it anyways. Is it true that scar that Mil Mascaras has, like on the in his abdomen there, that he's had forever, that was by Black Gordman?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I don't either. I don't know.
It's not for stuffing your stomach in?
No. Sure, was it from a painting accident or something? Maybe?
No. Anytime you watch Mil Mascaras, any pictures you see, he has this pretty large scar in his stomach area, and I had always heard forever that was from Black Gordman, in a match, and they guess the pencil came out or something.
I think what happened was that Mil Mascaras pumped his chest up so big that he popped to the bottom.
He couldn't pump it up anymore, so they cut him open and put a port in there and pumped more air in. So.
Makes sense.
Come on, the man wouldn't pose for a picture with Lucky Pierre. What do you want from him?
Can you believe that? Well, he blew that chance.
Yeah.
Yep, he did. He's going to regret it. No, I'm glad we didn't get the picture taken, because if we put it on Facebook, he might alert Facebook and say it's contraband.
He charged double for it.
You never know. We could try next year again.
Yeah, really. Yeah, next year let's just put somebody in a suit, put the Mil Mascaras mask on them, and I'll get my picture taken with that person.
We'll get somebody that is black and horribly out of shape.
There you go. Yes. If you get a picture of me with Alberto Del Rio, that would be way cooler than Mil Mascaras.
That would be, actually.
Yes.
So is Black Gordman, is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
He was recently honored at a show, I want to say it was Monterey.
Wow.
But yeah, he was recently honored on a Lucha Libre show.
His son wrestled for a while, too, so.
Yeah, there was his adopted son, Black Gordman Jr., and Dan, you had mentioned this to me. I didn't realize this. He was Lance Cade's father-in-law.
Yes, that's right.
Lance Cade's father-in-law?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember Jose Fernandez a few years back. I think through Black Gordman Jr. he, had him answer some questions, for Jose to put on the Lucha Wiki site. And apparently Gordon was really cool about answering the questions, but I guess Gordon was a bit mystified, like that was the past. Why are they so interested in it? So apparently he had no problem moving on.
Guess he didn't realize the impact he made on Southern California wrestling.
Oh, totally.
That's probably the case. He and his older brother, yeah.
Well, I think Fredo knows, though, what my favorite story that Jose's told, though, about interacting with a wrestler on the internet. That he was someone. I think he said it was. All he said was that it was the name Luchador who first got on the internet and Googled himself, and he was like, "Wow, there are these match reviews about me," and these very intricate, very overwrought, type of match reviews. And he's looked, about the psychology of this and that and what they were thinking. It's like, and he says to Jose, "Did I do that?"
Oh, that's awesome! I love it.
Yeah, I would give anything right now if someone would come on the line and say, "Kurt, I am from New Mexico. Can you guess my name? Where am I?"
Wait, are you from New Mexico or do you claim?
You claimed.
Every week a new wrestler will call in out of nowhere. That'd be the gimmick here.
They say, "Shut up, American."
Well, talk about an old school reference though. Did anybody catch the Hall of Fame, the edited down Hall of Fame on Monday?
Yeah, I did.
How many people do you think, when Abdullah the Butcher had that one picture of him holding the fork, knew what that was about?
Oh, yeah, I mean, no, I'm sure nobody in that room.
Because they had one, of course they didn't show his speech, but they had a shot of him, and he was holding the fork.
Yeah, and I'm sure nobody knew. They showed Eve Torres standing there next to him, smiling, laughing at it. She probably thought, "Oh, he hasn't finished his dinner yet," or something.
And then 5 seconds later, I would have given anything if he attacked her with a fork. I think that would have been.
A match that I think still stands up to this day is, I can never remember if it was 76 or 77, but the Japan tag team final with the Sheik and Abdullah versus the Funk.
Oh, God, yes.
I used to call that the Night of the Living Dead match because, we've seen all the ECW matches. We've seen every gory instrument used, but
it wasn't done as well as it was back then, though.
No.
I mean, that was artistry back then.
And the way Funk was gigging his arm and the way Funk was screaming in pain is much more nightmarish than all the thumbtacks, barbed wire, and chairs thrown together.
Oh, yeah.
I recommend anybody watch that match. That was just a great, great match. And there's one comical moment where you see the Sheik just kind of grinding his forehead against a blade, almost like he's trying to saw his head in half or something.
Oh, God.
But other than that, it was... I've watched that match countless times. It's my favorite brawl ever.
Now that all 4 of them are in the WWE Hall of Fame, I hope that WWE, with one of their tapes that they come out with, puts that match in there, because that...
Yeah, but they'll turn it black and white, Ryan, halfway through when the blood starts to flow.
I want black and white.
Well, they stopped doing that.
God damn it, is that a fork? Get that away from him!
They won't get that because it's all Japan. They'll need to
God damn it, that gigging's for parents.
Get that computer ready. Change that thing into a flower or something, anything.
No, this match is nothing until we have Michael Cole putting himself over in the match.
They'll start blurring it like they do with the logos, the old logos.
That's right.
I just realized I had to talk about this because it sounds like something out of Kurt's nightmares. Anyone else here to read the latest Classic Observer, any of it?
Oh, that's the one about, is that the one with,
It's the one with Royal Rumble 94.
Yes, I did. I scanned through it. I haven't looked at it all the way.
Well,
I hate the fact that I know when these originally came out. That's what upsets me more than anything else.
A friend of mine, I am to be part.
Dan finally got his Smoky Mountain tapes. From
Those are wonderful, man, I tell you.
Those are from 14 years ago when he was asking about them.
They're 19 years ago, these things are. They're still the best thing in the world.
Anyway, a friend of mine, I am to me, that there was a news item in it about in Baltimore there was some weekday bingo show with Gorilla Monsoon as Bob Morella along with Sean Mooney. And it was supposed to be a cross between Tuesday Night Titans and bingo.
What?
And it ran for 12 weeks, and it was and they were going to try to get it onto the actual Fox network. Let me pull it up.
Oh my God, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Is this a true story?
And that and that it also involved because it was also the brainchild of former WWF producer Nelson Swagler.
Oh my God, I'd love to see that.
Let me find, because I posted on the Crazy Max boards to see if anyone knew anything about it or had tapes of it. Okay.
Oh my God, that would be so cool.
Okay, let's see. WWF announcer Gorilla Monsoon now appears daily under his real name, Bob Morella, as co-host with former WWF announcer Sean Mooney on a Baltimore weekday 10 a.m. show called Disco Break. Although the show doesn't acknowledge him as Gorilla Monsoon, there are jokes made about him being the first Italian from Manchuria when Monsoon wrestled in the early 60s against Bruno. He was, the Manchurian Giant. The show is the brainchild of former WWF television producer Nelson Swagler, hence the Mooney Morella connection, described as a combination of Bingo and the old Tuesday Night Titans, with an Uncle Ned hillbilly character, a Bingo psychic, and more, has already been described as one of the worst television shows in history.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Never fear
that is so awesome.
And Never Fear the Baltimore run is said to be a 13-week trial before Fox Network picks it up nationally, which obviously did not happen. But
oh God, I would love to see those. Oh my God!
Why have I never heard of this before?
I don't remember that either.
Because it was garbage.
I would.
I mean, okay, that might be $54 for that one.
It wasn't someone from Baltimore like Joey Maggs or someone sending in a fake news bit as a rib or anything, was it?
Because it wasn't my invention. I'm B4, damn it, B4!
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God, that's hysterical, though. I mean, that would be, it must have been a rib. It has to be. I can't imagine
I can't picture that happening. I would think Monsoon's a little too smart to get involved
in something
like that with Sean Mooney.
Their facility at that time was in the Baltimore, Washington area.
I think, were they still in...
I think they still were, because I think they were shooting.
Still with Video Wanted by then.
Yeah, because I thought they were they still doing, because they used to do the Tuesday Night Titans, didn't they, over in the outskirts of Baltimore?
Yeah, but by this point they were in Stamford. But
yeah, I don't know. I think
it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I can't picture.
Yeah, it sounds.
I would have heard of it before. Then again, I mean, until WWE showed it on the on-demand service, no one knew that they had done a pilot for a show called Donnybrook Theater, where the wrestlers did skits.
Oh my God!
What?
Yeah, it should be on YouTube or Dailymotion or something. It was on Classics on Demand a year or two ago.
Maybe Vince is probably kicking himself, saying, "They told me, no football, no bodybuilding. Go with Bingo and Donnybrook Theater. If only I had listened to them."
Donnybrook Theater.
The United Bingo Federation would have been better. Yeah, it would have worked fine. God, that's hysterical. You mentioned, we were talking about the Humperdink eye thing earlier, and you mentioned, of course, the famous Lawler-Terry Funk empty arena match where Lawler Funk was going to go for his eye, and Lawler went at it, and there was that famous thing where it's where Funk was screaming, "My eye, Lance! He took my eye! He took my eye!" screaming like that. Well, we were on the Cauliflower Alleys, and my wife and I were talking to Terry Funk, and my wife says, "We saw that match. My eye! You took my eye!" And he goes, Funk goes, "You saw that on tape?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Damn, Lawler always finds a way to cheat me out of money."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that whole eye angle, and that was redone again with Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA.
Yep.
And it was well done, I thought, back then, too. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Kurt, I want to mention, I don't know if you heard Steve Sims today on the radio, but they were talking about this is the anniversary of the death of El Solitario.
Yeah, I did listen to that.
Now, they mentioned our names.
Yeah, he did. But the funny thing is...
Well, here's the funny thing about it is, there's always been a rumor that El Solitario passed away from AIDS.
Yes.
Okay? And the way Steve said it made it sound like we were running around spreading that rumor.
Why did he say
Yeah.
Oh, he said you guys started the rumor?
But the funny thing is, I was under another source told me that the way he actually died, and this wound up not being true, but I believed at the time that he had drugs in his system and was injured, and when they went to operate, Dad do some emergency operation on him, he said he was clean. Said he didn't have any drugs in the system and died of a bad reaction to the.
It could be. He sounds a little Von Erich-ish to me.
Exactly. But that was a story at the time that I believed, and since I believe it to be the source. I don't think I ever said the AIDS story, although
I want to emphasize that we may have heard that, but we never spreaded that rumor around. All right,
Kurt, you wrote it on your blog.
Yeah, a year ago I wrote it on my blog.
Yeah, you insinuated that, but you didn't say
and I believe it now. I mean, I do believe it's AIDS now.
You didn't say he died of AIDS. You insinuated that he might have died of that.
That's right. I like people to read between the lines. I like to be a gossip monger.
Yeah, you didn't.
I retro TMZ.
Now I know why she's not on the show anymore.
I mean, like when Vampiro said...
Boy, look at Fredo nailing you to the wall there.
Hey, Fredo, you got to be careful of these quiet types like Fredo. When they say something,
she's not on the show anymore. I blame you guys.
Fredo just sits there for an hour and a half, goes, I'm going to bide my time and wait for the exact right moment, and there!
See, Alfredo Esparza understands the human game of chess. It's not played in the ring, it's played on the internet.
Hey, man, I was waiting for Steve to let this out. Now I can attack you guys.
See, I think the closer it gets to TNA Impact time, the more ferocious Fredo gets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Yes.
But what did he say, Dan? What was it?
Well, no, he was just basically he was talking about how when he had heard about the death had been 4 or 5 years earlier, and when he first came out here in the early '90s, he would go to the shows with what we used to refer to as the Lucha Mafia. It was sometimes it was Larry and Pat Howitt and Kurt and I and Steve Gerber and Eric Anderson, and we would go down there and take our lives in our hands to go down to either department stores where they had wrestling in the back or down to Tijuana or whatever, and you talk to people, and the story was only 3 or 4 years old, and it would come up, and I think we discussed it as a group, and I know he didn't mean it that way, but it was just funny. He says, well, that was Dan and Kurt and everything, and that's when I first heard about him dying of AIDS. I thought, I didn't say that. I never said that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us did.
Kurt has never said that.
Kurt says, one day there's going to be a thing called a blog, and I'm going to write about it.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
That's right.
But even when Kurt wrote about it, he didn't really go to that. He kind of just insinuated that he had heard something like that as the main story.
And it just happened to coincide with National AIDS Awareness Week too.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys seen a video of El Solitario?
Yeah.
He was really good.
And I remember
the Wagner mask match. And that one, 60s match.
And I remember in '73 on TV seeing him 2 out of 3 falls with Colosso Colosetti. And it was when Solitario was leaving the territory and Colosetti was just coming in, so he put Colosetti over really huge. And he was great.
Wasn't there a famous after story where they, in one of those magazines, where they had pictures of him wrestling Mil Mascaras, and they claimed that Mil was wrestling his brother and didn't know it, or something like that. I seem to remember something like that. And the thing was, they got confused and thought El Solitario was El Psychedelico. Yeah, and they did that. But one thing that Dr. Lucha mentioned that I wasn't aware of, and that was basically El Solitario was like the lone one, the Lone Ranger, and that's what the mask was based on.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
come on, Dan.
I had no idea, but boy, now that you think back, the way it was designed, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I keep thinking of the Neil Diamond song, Solitary Man.
Well, did you also see, I didn't know this either, they talked about Satanico and what his original full name was.
Dr. No. That was hysterical. I never knew that either.
Yeah, exactly.
The coolest thing about Steve Sims being on the show is all the history he knows. It is so bitchin'.
You know what it is? Steve looks up the Lucha Wiki before he goes on the show.
That's why he talks about baseball, because he's doing that to kill time when he pulls the pages up.
Did he talk
and I
baseball?
say that because I say that because I'm not a baseball fan. I follow the Baltimore Orioles, and that's about it. That's about as close to baseball as WWE is to wrestling anymore. So.
But hey, the Orioles are tearing it up this season. So
yeah, it's only been a week.
None of them have Lince Combs on their team. Lince Combs, and there's that pitcher, that other pitcher dude who's the lost son of Mad Dog Vachon.
That other pitcher dude?
Oh,
I can't remember his name. He has a beard like Mad Dog Vachon.
Oh, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, the Beach Boys guy, yeah.
We should do a baseball show, then I'll talk more.
He's a dog-eat-dog world. Yeah.
Have you seen his beard? It's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's exactly right.
Really cool beard.
Hey, he looks like CM Punk when CM Punk had the that beard going for a while.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Did you know there's a clip? There's actually for the iPhone. I guess it might be for other Androids or whatever. There's a Tough Enough app. It's a free app, but they have just some clips, and they had a clip that was really kind of cool from the show that they cut out the other night when they had the guys setting up the ring and doing that, where Matt Cross ran into CM Punk backstage.
And
they started talking. Thing? Yeah, they were talking. Hey, how you doing, man? You know, and the other guys are like, hey, you know, if you know these guys, how come you aren't farther along than you are?
And that runs into his good buddy CM Punk.
Yeah.
I didn't okay that. I'm Vince McMahon.
Did you watch Tough Enough, Dan?
Yeah, I did actually. What I do is I watch it with my wife because I always because my wife watches, has a John Cena T-shirt. She loves Hornswoggle. She loves the Bushwhackers. She basically is as far away from being a quote-unquote smart fan as you could possibly be. She watches it for the entertainment value. And what I say to her, I say, well, we'll start watching this. If you don't find it interesting, we can stop and I'll watch it later. But she found it very interesting all the way through. And but I know that one thing that we were talking about is, Kurt, you're the closest thing to an actual wrestler in this group. Right?
I don't know about that.
I was going to say, I think I've actually gotten in the ring with Ryan, and he was able to hurl me effortlessly.
That was fun.
I'll never forget. I could actually kind of go toe to toe with Larry and hold my own, but I got in there with you. You just powered me out like I was nothing, man.
Yeah, sure. I have like a bunch of tapes. That proved that you're not much of a wrestler.
Yeah, this is true.
Wow, Fredo's going for the juggler.
Fredo, what's going on with you tonight, man?
Wow. You guys notice I'm very friendly with Fredo. I'm very nice to him, and that's because I know that at any time he could put the best and worst of Vandal Drummond on YouTube and ruin.
Isn't the best and the worst the same thing, Kurt?
Yeah, that's the sad part. It is. You know.
I have news. Well, do you know that Vandal Drummond's been in 2.5-star matches?
That's right.
I was in a 2.5-star match.
Kurt's like, I actually got a rating that high.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Come on, guys. Guys, seriously, the Aftershock 94 match was a great match. I thought.
Yes, it was a great match. That was a great match.
Oh, thank you. That was a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I ever had wrestling.
Well,
I haven't gotten to that one yet.
The story is that Lucky Pierre, Kurt's very good friend, has a match coming up at the next MPW show in May.
Ooh.
And I'm not going to mention who Lucky Pierre's opponent might be, but I've already warned Kurt to tell Lucky Pierre that he needs to be careful because she can be quite dangerous at times.
Yes, in fact, Lucky Pierre has.
Let's don't reveal it yet. Let's don't reveal it yet.
No, we won't reveal that. But let's just say Lucky Pierre has double checked to make sure his Blue Shield PPO is up to date.
Yes, I think so. I mean, let's don't reveal it. Let's don't go Solitario on this all at one time, Kurt. Okay,
not at one time. All we'll say is it's May 7th.
Yes,
May 7th.
And our main event that night is Ryan Taylor and Akira Tozawa, which should be really
be an awesome match.
Tozawa got rave reviews at all the shows he was at.
Well, yeah, I mean, every time I've seen him twice now, and I'm just really amazed at not amazed at how good, but I'm amazed that the guy is as good as he is. And oftentimes you hear stories about that stuff, and then you see them and you go, well, it's okay. But he lives up to the hype. I always thought it'd be great if somebody would go through all the old observers and pull out the first mentions of guys who are now big stars. Just how they were written. Because I remember at one point looking at an observer that was under the here and there and said, so-and-so, this whatever, and newcomer Cactus Jack has been getting a lot of good matches in this area. Jack is trained by Dominic DeNucci. And I would love to go through and pull
that
all
would
those
be cool. Well, in fact, I have a question for you, Dan. I was wondering if you knew the answer to this. Remember that famous show in Westminster where one of the wrestlers had to drink too much to drink and hurled a chair at a kid? Remember?
No, he didn't hurl a chair.
He hurled something else.
He didn't hurl a chair at a kid. He actually hurled the chair into the audience and hit a kid.
Yes. Well, I remember recently Barry Cohen said that was that UIWA group, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was.
Now, I remember Barry Cohen recently saying that a very young John Cena was on one of those shows. And was he the guy that night who, when he came after his match, he's in the dressing room and he saw Stefan De Leon and Ricky Ataki and went and got his brother's camera saying, I got to get a picture with you guys. And he says, my brothers and I always watched you every week, and we kept hoping you guys would win.
You know, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. You're asking me to go back that far. I would have to check with, like, either Rob Courtney or through my notes or whatever. He may well have been. I'm sure if he was there that night, he got quite an eyeful with that match because that was one of the probably. And you know what? For years, this story evidently I found out has been kind of legendary because what I did was I went down and had the ref double cross him.
Yes, I remember
because the way it was going to happen was this guy was leaving, and he was wrestling Logan X.
Yeah.
And he was going to do some, stupid, convoluted. I'm sorry, Bill. Some stupid, convoluted angle that just was ridiculous. Where this was his last show in, so of course, instead of just dropping the match and leaving, he was going to step out of the ring and lose by count out and then leave town or something like that. Some stupid thing like that.
Well, wasn't it even something funny where he was going to actually voluntarily lie down and let the guy pin him?
Yeah, something like that. He was going to change it to a loser leave town, and then he was going to step out of the ring and be counted out and say, "Hey, I'm going to go off," because he was going to go train with Shawn Michaels' group in Texas and whatever. And nothing against this guy, and since then, we have, Kurt was with me when I ran into him again. I said to Kurt, "Don't go far. I have no idea this guy's going to react."
I remember that.
But the guy was fine, and basically what happened was, I turned to the guys in charge of the show and said, "Okay, one of your wrestlers, who I told you before was too drunk to really go out there, has just hit a small girl in the audience with a chair." And the audience is mad. And he's going to win this match. And besides the fact that you may have just lost your building, in which they did, actually, the audience may really get physical and turn if this guy wins the match that cocky and walks out.
Yeah.
And they said, I don't know. I said, well, I'm going to do something. So I went down, found the younger referee at ringside, told him, and I got to Logan and said to both of them, here's the deal. As soon as you get him, if you need to slap on either a pin or some sort of submission, as soon as they do, you ring the bell because he's not winning. So what happened was, and I stayed at ringside. I stayed right there and kept going, roll him up, come on. Yeah, and what happened was he did, and they rolled him up, and they rolled out, and the wrestler turned to me and threw a chair at me. And came after me. Then he left, and then he left two messages on my phone. One that he was going to find me and kill me.
Yeah.
And the second one was, "Oh man, listen, it's okay. I forgive you. You just did what you had to do. You Bret-Harted me." Remember that? And I go on my merry way. We do shows. I leave, quote unquote. I leave the business for a while. And I find out, like last year, that this is something that has been online and talked about, and I find out, I have not seen it yet, but actually video exists of that match.
No way.
It exists of that match, and it's going to be, at least at one point, it's going to be in that documentary they're shooting on Paul.
Oh my God, I would love to see that.
And what happened was they had me talk about it, and I talked about it not knowing that it was going to be there. And I guess they have it over top of the match, and thank God everything I said is still true. You know how things don't change or whatever. But yeah, that was the night, and that was the last show down there they ever did.
I remember that. Yes.
You know, and what happened was then I got in the ring as commissioner and said, that is, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, that's the last time you'll be seeing so-and-so. And everybody applauded and sat down. It was fine.
Yes, but, I forgot that was the last show. I remember they were scheduled to have another one in the...
Yep, never happened.
Club said, nope, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, it never happened that way. You can't, you just can't take a chair and hurl it into a group of people without paying attention, know.
That's when half the people getting in the business were trying to emulate somebody that they saw on ECW, and they thought the way to emulate them was simply to drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and throw tacks into the ring or something.
Yeah, and actually that only in wrestling could you sit there and say, it's not a good idea to throw a chair into the audience.
Yeah.
Most people would understand that already, but,
Very, very true.
But if I ever get that footage, I'll definitely send it to you guys.
I would love to see it. And would love to see the Hollywood Blondes footage in Japan, too. That would be awesome.
Yeah, they were in IWE.
Well, as soon as Fredo likes you again, I'm sure he'll do that.
I unlike them on
Wait, let me look. You son of a... How dare you? Nobody unfriends me on Facebook.
No, I'm still your friend. I just gave you a thumbs down. I figured out a way to add a thumbs down on your Facebook page.
Thank God. I thought that would really hurt for a minute.
What I actually watched was your match with a mask versus hair match that you had with
Does it go?
Who it is?
Does it go?
Gemini Kid?
Oh, Gemini.
I think it was the black guy though.
Yeah, that was Gemini Kid.
That was Gemini Kid.
Yeah, I was watching that. It was pretty good.
I actually really felt...
I was waiting for it. Like, I was watching that. Pause. Yeah,
I like the vest. Yeah. I like that vest you were wearing, though.
You know who I got that from was Mickey Doyle.
Yeah,
that was
Mickey Doyle vest.
That was his hippie vest when he and Mike Boyette teamed as the hippies. One of the groupies actually made them leather vests. And Mickey Doyle gave me a few wrestling lessons, which I probably learned more in those 2 lessons than I did from everybody else combined up until the time I started training at Gill's Gym.
Uh-huh.
And so that match with Gemini Kid was the first time I was in, what you could call a main event. And plus we were so, a lot of it thanks to Eric Anderson. He was such a great babyface that we were really over with the crowd. And so I wore that to the ring, just for a little sentimental touch that nobody else understood but me.
We should
Mickey
really
Doyle
bring...
also, speaking of Hollywood Blondes, Mickey Doyle, I will never forget telling me, he mentioned 2 people. He mentioned Harley Race and Buddy Roberts as, he said, if you cannot wrestle these guys and have a good match, then you're not cut out for the business because they could carry anybody.
Oh.
But then I remember also that you got very excited when you met Al Snow, and Al was telling you Mickey Doyle's stories about when they were the new Fabulous Kangaroos at one point with Al Costello as their manager.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Exactly. So, I mean, Fredo, you should put out a tape of Kurt's best and worst matches.
Yeah, I'll have to go through all of them, though. There's like a bunch.
If you want to see the worst matches, just grab all my matches at Arena Perro Aguayo.
I didn't record the worst one, though, did I?
I don't know. I don't think you did.
No, because that was the first show that you wrestled where I was translating everything he was telling me, and you're like...
That's right, yes.
And then you tried to put you in a Frankensteiner, and I was like, what the hell are you doing a Frankensteiner for?
I know, the guy was twice my size. He was a heel, and he wanted to do a Frankensteiner. He did it, and it came off okay, but...
I was watching Tough Enough, and that girl kept saying she had 11 years as a pro.
Oh, I know.
And I kept thinking of Poder Infernal and how he kept on saying 8-year pro, and I was like, 8-year pro?
There was no way that guy was a pro for 8 years of that time. I remember. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way. And then I saw her, and I was like, there's no way she's an 11-year pro. She can't run.
Well, she suddenly had Poder Infernal flashbacks.
Yeah. She couldn't even run the ropes. She really couldn't, actually.
No, the best part was at first when I think she tried to lock up with Austin or Bill DeMott, and she just falls down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was great.
And
yeah.
later she's all, I'm losing my fundamentals.
now.
And
okay, that's a show I have to watch.
That one girl gets asked by Stone Cold what her favorite match is, and she says Melina versus Alicia Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to watch it, Kurt. You got to see it just for a couple of times.
All the matches in the history of this business.
And he even stops and gives her another chance.
Yeah, and he goes,
pick another one.
And you know, Steve Austin really doesn't know who Alicia Fox is in the first place. He's probably like, who is that?
Yeah, he said who?
Yeah, he's like, I'm curious. Who is that?
A true fan, if they wanted to get in good with Steve Austin, they would have said the best match they ever saw was Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr versus Santo and Octagon. He was seriously. They would have been in like Flint there.
Why? Would
you know what's funny about
Austin and Brian Pillman, I guess, loved the heel work of Eddie Guerrero, and I guess it wasn't that match that they watched a whole bunch of times or something.
Yeah, that's what they used to talk about. That.
Yes,
but
I thought it was a great match.
What I thought was so funny about Tough Enough is they spent, and this was fine. I mean, but you know, Austin and DeMott and Booker T and Trish were all, you know, respect the business, you know, earn your, you know, do this, all this stuff. And I kept thinking, they're right, but everything they're saying is not what the WWE stands for anymore.
It's so true. It's so true.
It doesn't stand for anything anymore, literally.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it really and truly doesn't. And but Kurt, could you run the ropes for 3 minutes straight without getting winded?
Oh Lord, I'd be hurting, man. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, you know, when somebody goes into a wrestling school years ago, and the first thing they want to do is break the person in their first lesson. So they have them do Hindu squats till they can hardly even stand up. And if you've never done Hindu squats before,
yeah, you shouldn't do more than like 10 at a time.
Yes, exactly. I remember being told to do 3 sets of 10 and no more. This is when I was like 120 pounds, and I did the 3 sets of 10, and I'm glad I didn't try to do more because I was hurting the next day. So if you've been doing them for a while, they're the greatest exercise in the world. You'll have stamina like you've never had in your life. But if you've never done them, they have you trying to do 100 of them. Then they get you in the ring, they rub you raw, they have you hit the ropes. If you've never hit those ropes before, you get like the 3-level bruises from them.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a joke. Everybody I've seen after their first workout, they have rope bruises.
If you take also, I think it was also the 11 year Miss 11 Years as they were calling her.
She went to do wife, by the way.
Excuse me?
Who's Johnny Fairplay's wife?
Is that Johnny Fairplay's wife?
No way.
Yeah. I was wondering which one it was. I couldn't figure it out. But when she went to do a forward roll, and like she started, then she stopped, and she just kind of fell over.
Still not as good as Miss America having padding in her trunks when she was running the ropes.
Yeah, but see, that's smart, though.
That was smart. I don't see why they basically. I don't think why that was cheating.
Yeah.
Do you think it was cheating?
I thought that was ingenious. If you tell me.
I mean,
I have to watch the show now. I'm so up for this now.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
And it's
actually good.
A million times over the through Monday. Someone actually posted a list on a forum I go to of all the replays.
Yeah.
On just about every channel that NBC Universal and Comcast owns. I mean, it's on Oxygen.
Yeah.
Of all time.
And the ratings were real good on Monday night too.
They're switching the day, aren't they?
No.
The time.
It's 8 o'clock, but I think there's still an 11 o'clock replay anyway.
Yeah, they're just going to go till after that. Well, but I mean, that kind of stuff always is interesting. I mean, I find, the stuff that I'm always bored with is all the, screw you, well, you ate my toast, that kind of stuff. That's, after a while, that, if I want that, I'll just, go visit friends. I mean, I don't, I like the stuff, and what I was glad was they didn't do some of the, they had him take down the ring, which I thought was kind of neat. They taking out the trash and all that other stuff was a little extreme, and I think whatever that thing they have coming up where they put him in the suits and have the attack dogs go after him might be a little extreme also.
That
but
seems ridiculous.
But the stuff is to watch the guys and to watch them approach it seriously, unlike the Diva searches and the other stuff they do there. It was really, really interesting. But the trouble is, outside of Matt Cross, who you forget is even in there after a while because he's so damn quiet, I look at the rest of those hillbillies and I go, why would I? There's nothing exciting about any of them at all. That's why I would have liked to have seen, when they had that death spot on Monday when Austin brought them all into the ring, and gave them all a beer. I would have liked him if he just gone down the row and stunned every single one of them.
And it sounds like that's from every review I've heard. That's what everybody was expecting to happen. Like
the fans
were almost waiting for it.
Them all.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Bix. What was it? We didn't catch the tail end of that.
The fans were chanting, "Stun them all."
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
And the thing is, you all know the worst thing in the world to do is to say to someone who's never done it before, and trust me, I know they're done taping all this and everything, but they still have never really done it before, where they have to really, this is the most painful thing to watch whenever they do this. I don't know what statistic is about them that likes to send people out who have never done an interview before in front of a large crowd and have them do an interview.
Yeah.
Because all they do is they just imitate someone they've seen before. And it always comes off the worst, most hokey thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Well, and that's something, as we grew up, rookie wrestlers, you would not just put them on the mic.
No.
You would have them work up to it. You'd wean them on the mic. If they were putting over somebody who's kind of green, they might, let them grab the mic once in a blue moon. But they didn't, just throw the mic in your face and say, "Hey, cut a promo,"
Or even worse, here's a sheet. I want you to memorize it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't change a single word, damn it. That kind of thing.
That one blonde girl didn't even mention her name or anything. She just started talking.
Yeah, because I've been around. I've been doing stuff since I was a ref for actually 21 years now. I don't have enough practice to do it, but I still have the ideas of what a fundamental is. So, when I'm doing the thing as a commissioner, setting a match up or doing whatever, I know what needs to go where and what to drop in. And that's what I learned from watching people who are good at it, talking to people who could give me information or whatever. But the trouble is, a lot of it, it sounds like Grandpa is on the front porch waving his cane at the kids again. But the thing is that it's really and truly, you don't go out there and yell like the Ultimate Warrior. Because the fact is, as much as some of those guys may look back and say, "Oh, those were great interviews, the Ultimate Warrior," they were horrible interviews.
Oh, they were terrible. Ouch.
They were horrendous, and it's not just screaming. Dory Funk Jr. or Jake Roberts could say more in a hushed tone than half these guys did.
Oh, they'd
when
have you taking your shoes. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Gary Hart's story about why he decided to, do the quiet type promos, and then when he raised his voice, it's a big deal that they came from when he was working with the mobsters, and the mobster that he worked for, he'd always speak, very direct, very quiet, and when he raised his voice, it meant a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I know, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid and I did something wrong, if my father yelled at me, it was one thing. But if my father started talking to me very quietly, enunciating every word like this, I got scared to death.
My dad had a look too. My dad rarely raised his voice, but every now and then he would have these pursed eyebrows and this. It looked like a combination of anger and betrayal in him, and I'm just like, I did something really bad this time.
I didn't
he rarely
wait,
showed it, but when he did, man, I got in line fast.
No, I didn't wait when they got mad. I ran. I ran off the door, and that was it.
That's because your dad had a fork like Abdul the Butcher. He was going to come after you with it.
Yeah, pal.
But your dad wouldn't have given you hepatitis with it.
Oh, did you hear about that? Dan, did you hear about that whole hepatitis thing?
Oh, God.
With Abdullah the Butcher? The hepatitis
Yep, Abdullah the Butcher spreading the love wherever he goes.
And maybe
it's not hepatitis. Maybe it's mad cow disease from his rib joint.
Well, see, I don't think he did just because of. I don't know. He's been around for so long. You would have heard about somebody else.
I think so. My hunch is.
Yeah, but remember, the thing they keep talking about though is that it can lay dormant for a really long time. I mean, Superstar Graham probably got it decades ago.
Yeah.
Didn't have any problems.
That's true. That is true.
Ago.
And you know, a lot of wrestlers have died, so we don't really know if they ever caught it. If they died.
Yeah.
But what they'll do, and there's a lot of wrestlers I'm certain who would keep it under wraps too.
Yeah.
They'll have Abby
there are
do.
a few more that we do know did have it, like Jimmy Valiant. I think Terry Funk said he had hepatitis C.
I think Cowboy Bob Orton.
Bob Orton Sr., yeah. Not Bob Orton Sr., Bob Orton, yeah.
That was a bad one, though, too, because then he bled all over Undertaker.
Maybe it's like a rite of passage, like cauliflower ears. Have you got your hepatitis yet?
That's a hell of a rite of passage, Kurt. No, it's like, what they'll do is they'll get Abby to do a public service announcement. Kids, don't share your forks with everybody else. Let's make sure.
You joke, but what I wish I could have seen. Remember when Onita was just gigging the hell out of himself and throwing himself in a dirty river on the?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Did you know he did an AIDS awareness promo on TV?
No.
And I said that has to be a joke.
From that, but
Kurt, also think about some of those mats you worked on. Okay.
Oh yeah. Could
you imagine being bloodied and laying face down on one of those mats?
All the mats I've worked on over the years, it's like a testament to the immune system.
Yeah.
You could survive that. You could probably survive a lot. You know, you could be the Ebola kid if you want, and yeah, mats are not the most.
So maybe Miss Universe is actually doing the right thing, wearing padding.
That's right.
Maybe
She's smarter than the rest of them.
Yeah,
Let's hope. Okay, she wins then.
Hey, Fredo, are we still on the air?
Yeah. Did you want to go?
Because we've been on like an hour and 45 minutes. I just looked over.
Yeah, well, I hate to do it, but believe it or not, I have to go out and run some errands. So not laundry. I have to get up to work
at 9 o'clock at night. You gotta run errands.
I'm not joking. I was planning. Okay, we're gonna do it till 8 o'clock. I'm getting right off. Do my errands, but no, I'm going to be up late tonight.
I love it.
This does errands at 9 o'clock.
This is the only show that ends because one of the hosts has to go run errands. Yeah.
Hey, it's a much more hep version of a Soupy Sales getting hit with a pie in the face at the end.
God damn it! You don't run errands till I tell you to run errands.
And you gotta say I'm putting a nice curveball on it. Usually I do laundry after the show.
Yeah,
I'm actually getting out a little this time.
Now we're guessing what you're going to do.
Yes, I'd rather have a podcast end with I have to run errands than start with, oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally told you that Sir Oliver Humperdink died, like happened to me a week and a half ago.
Oh. Who was this? What show was this, Dick?
With Road Warrior Animal.
Oh.
You know, it actually went pretty well. He was like telling don't worry about it. He kept saying, that's the business.
Yeah, God.
I mean, and plus he was in the hospice and stuff. I mean, so,
Yeah, he was already dying, so it's like...
He was dying. I mean, so...
It was only a matter of time. I think everybody knew that.
It's not like he was at peace with it, too, from what everybody had written.
It's not like, oh, by the way, your best friend helping Nikita Koloff died.
Oh, God, now that rumor's going to be out there tomorrow. Now watch,
Well, no, then it'll turn out to be a fake Nikita Koloff.
Oh, okay. It's the fake Nikita Koloff, or one of the many Koloff cousins, like Vladimir and all those other ones over the years.
Watch, when Vladimir Koloff dies, they'll say he's Nikita.
That's right.
Exactly.
He'll say he's Stan Lane. They wanted me to be Nikita Koloff, but I wanted to be Stan Lane. Well, and so watch, after all this, the rumor that'll go out is that Abdul the Butcher is serving mad cow disease-ridden ribs. That'd be a funny rumor, actually.
The pigs have mad cow disease?
What's that?
Wait, so you're saying, so the pigs would have mad cow disease?
The pigs would have mad... Yeah, they would. They have mad piggy disease.
So what'll happen is now Steve Sims will be telling everyone that you and I were telling people in the dressing room about this 20 years ago. That's what...
That's because we're prophetic. We're psychic.
And Steve, if you're listening, we're joking, all right? We're just joking, Steve. Please don't...
But we will not forgive you unless you come back on this show one of these days, Dr. Lucha, Dr. Luch, Steve Sims.
That's right.
He already met all of us, so he kind of knows what we're...
Yeah, we still got to drag him back on. We got to give him a hard time.
He needs to come up and see Lucky Pierre wrestle, too. He really does.
Yes. May 7th, Simi Valley. Keep that date, Esteban Sims.
One of these days you should kill Lucky Pierre with AIDS.
Oh.
Well, love is something if you give it away, you end up giving more. So.
Kurt, don't you have errands to do?
I have errands to do. So.
Wait, who's Aaron?
What kind of errand do you need to do at 9 o'clock at night?
Doesn't need to know about that.
What kind of errand do you need to do at 9 o'clock at night?
Oh, jeez. Okay, I have to fill up Elena's car with gas.
Oh.
I have to run by CVS, get some drugs, and the shameful part is that they're not even drugs that will get me wacky or anything. They're just shit you have to start taking the older you get. It really sucks. So I'd love to say it was something exotic. What's that?
You can get some cough syrup at a CVS.
There you go.
I could, yeah. I've never shotgun Robitussin before. Maybe I'll have to try that.
Hey guys, TNA Impact starts in 10 minutes.
Okay, then I think that's the cue that we must get going. So
yeah, and make sure you shotgun that Robitussin while you're putting gas in the car. That's always a good thing.
While lighting a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again. We went over a lot of fun memories from Oliver Humperdink to Gordman, Goliath to so many cool stuff. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you're walking down a street in Southern California on a bright, starry evening and you see a bright light shooting across the sky, it is not a shooting star. It is a heavenly handful of Moncel's powder. See you all in 2 weeks.
Adios.